not our presentation.
Hello everybody, welcome to another stream of the closing tag site build presented by Galactic Blue. My name is Raul Smith. I am the president, CEO, co-founder, and lead developer for Galactic Blue, as well as the host of the Closing Tag podcast. And as of just a few moments ago, the proud owner of the brand new closingtag.com URL. That's right, we are now officially live. Now, this does not mean the site's done. This does not mean the site is even presentable or anything of that nature. We're still very deep in the process of the build. There's still plenty more of these streams left to go. Don't worry about it. But the site URL has been purchased and hosting has been set up. So definitely an exciting stream, exciting way to start things off. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into some code. So normally I would just pick up where we left off, but because of the events of what have happened within the last 10 minutes, we're going to go ahead and take a dive right into something that every owner of a website should know how to do. I'm just gonna take care of a couple last little hanging chads here on this end. I'm just looking for something here. Here we go. Okay. Don't want to do that just yet. Give me 1 second, guys. Alright. That's being taken care of. Excellent. Alright. So, we're just going to go ahead and take a deep dive right into this thing right here. We're going to start a new HTML file. So we can go HTML. Okay. A cool little trick that I learned not that long ago on Visual Studio Code is go HTML5 and then hit enter. And there's some boilerplate for you right there. Basically, just created some boilerplate, or a template rather, of HTML. So here's what we're going to do to start things off today. We're going to create what's called a coming soon page. And basically, what that's going to entail is that's going to entail a background, and it's going to entail information on when you can expect a site to be live and who to contact if you have any questions. So let me just do something real quick here. Okay, so first thing you want to do is you want to create what's called a style in the head of the HTML. Now, it would probably be a little bit easier to make an inline style, but I just like doing it this way because it's more uniform, it's more secure, I guess you could say. Having an inline style can be a little tricky and a little bit risky, just for my own personal preference. So we're going to go body, background, URL. Oh, I forget. This one's not secure yet. Working on that. closingtag.com/image/ what did I name it again? All right. So now we want to make sure that the image encompasses the entirety of the screen regardless of screen size. So let me figure out how to do that real quick. Hold on 1 second here. As I mentioned to another developer not that long ago, Google's a good friend. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. So let's see here. No repeat. Center fixed. And background size is going to be cover. Now, if this works, it's hold on 1 second, guys. Okay. If this works, we should see I've never done an HTML file like this before, so I'm just kind of winging it. Here we go. And as you can see, as I'm about to switch screens here, come on. You're not going to do that for me, are you? Give me 1 second, guys. I am having trouble, apparently. Here we go. As you can see, the screen is 100%. I could probably do an inspect element, and sure enough, it adjusts perfectly. If I go mobile, it adjusts that way as well. Perfect. I am very pleased and happy right now. But that's just the background. We want some text in there, don't we? Now, I did say that I don't usually like doing inline styling, but in this case, I am making an exception here. So bear with me on that. Actually, hold that thought. Let's just do that. Since everything's going to be centered anyway. Coming soon. This website is currently being constructed. by galactic blue and should be operational soon. For any further questions, please contact. And here's the fun part. href equals mail to roll@galacticblue.net. roll@galacticblue.net. Thanks for your understanding, and pardon the dust. So, how did that turn out? Well, let's find out. I mean, it's there, but it's not really readable. Let's make it readable, shall we? Now, I could do inline styling, or I could just do the styling in the body itself, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new class, CSS class, called text white. And this is basically simple. Color, white. Now I'm going to set that class in each one of these HTML or each one of these header tags and right here. And I'll explain why I'm applying it to the A tag as well here in a minute. So class equals text white. Now, why did I set it to here? Well, if I didn't, it would still default to that blue underline, the simple blue underline hyperlink text. So let's give it a save. Let's check it out. So it's a little better, definitely better. We can actually read it now, but there's still something off about it. It's too far to the top, wouldn't you agree? So let's fix that. So how do we do that? How do we make the text centered, not just side to side, but also top to bottom? Well, let's do some research on that real quick. Okay, Okay, so here's what we want to do. Let's go ahead and go Actually, I got a better idea. Hold that thought. So now we want to do this. Okay, so now everything's in a div. We're going to apply the styling to the div itself. Margin auto. I'll explain what I'm doing with all this here in a minute. Width is going to be about 80%. And padding is going to be about 10 pixels. So here's what I'm doing. I'm setting the margin of the div to auto. And what that means is it's going to auto detect how much margin that div is going to be. And if I set it to just auto as opposed to, like, say 0 auto, then it's going to basically just auto set the margin on all sides. I'm also giving it a padding of 10 pixels for good measure, and I'm also giving it only 80% width. And the reason I'm doing that is I don't want it to go right up against the sides of the screen if I'm viewing it on mobile. So let's give it a save. And let's check it out, shall we? Not quite what I had in mind, but it's definitely a little bit better. It's definitely gotten a little bit more padding on the top. So what am I doing wrong here? Let's see. Let's see here. So margin top auto and margin bottom auto. That's not working either. So I wonder, let me think about this for a minute. It's a little challenging. I like challenge. I like a good challenge. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Sorry, I'm thinking in my head here. So instead of the margin auto, because that doesn't seem to be working too well, we're going to just take that out. We're going to give it a line height of probably, let's say, 40%. Let's go ahead and save it. You can't see it, but it's definitely gotten worse. Okay, so let's try something different. Let's bring back the margin auto. It's still too crunched up for my taste. Alright, so let's do let me think. So we want to try and get, aha, All right, so I think I might have a solution. We're gonna do a little bit of a trickery here, but then again, this is only gonna be a temporary page, so I'm not too worried about it. So left 50%, top 50%, and then transform, translate, minus 50%, minus 50%. That should do it. Let's go ahead and save it and test it. Much better, much, much better. I love it. But, just the designer in me looks at this and sees a problem right off the bat. Can you guess what it is? If you are watching this on YouTube and you guessed the text is too small and it doesn't pop out enough, congratulations, you earn a medal. Come see me after class. So it's not big enough for starters, and it's not poppy enough. I hate using that term, but it is true in this case. So we're going to give a special styling to the H1. We're going to give it a font size of, I'd say, wait, let's look at these options here. Let's go with extra large. And let's save it. Nope. All right. You can't see it, but it's gotten smaller actually. So we're going to go with 125%. Nope, that's even smaller. Never mind. So I'm going to go with just a hard 55. Well, no, because if we're trying to view this on mobile, I don't want it taking up the entire screen. So we'll go with, say, 3.5 REM. Let's save it and check it out. Definitely much better. Definitely much better, but I still want to toy with it a little bit. So thankfully the rest of these are H2s, so we'll just apply this next styling to H2. Font size is going to be about a 1.7 REM. Let's save it and check it out. Definitely better, definitely more legible, especially as you're viewing this on Twitch or YouTube. But there's still something missing. There's just one final piece to the puzzle. I have a very sneaky suspicion I know what it is. So let's do this. Let's apply this to pretty much the entire thing. So text shadow. It's a cool little trick that I learned a long time ago. 2 pixels, and we'll go with a hexadecimal code of 353435. Let's give it a save. Let's check it out real quick. It's definitely getting there. It's definitely getting there, and I think if we increase the text shadow by about 6 each, so up to 8, that is going to do it. So let's give it a save and let's check it out. Too much, especially that right there. No. Okay. Let's try one more thing. Let's go 5 and 5. Give it a save. Definitely much better. The email address thing is kind of wonky. I'm going to fix that here in a minute. But yes, this will work. So in order to fix, hold on. In order to fix a underline for a hyperlink, we're going to give this a second class. Instead of just text white, it's going to be text white and no decor. Now we're just kind of getting crazy with the custom classes. So no decor. Text decoration is none. Pretty simple, straightforward, and kind of a funny little naming convention, but I did just make it up, so give me a break. Let's give it a save. Much better. Now it's not so clunky underneath that email address. And if you hover over it, you still see the cursor, you still see the, well, I guess you can't really. But this is going to be the coming soon page. You will see it here very shortly. Now you can't see what's going on behind the scenes, but I am using an FTP client, FileZilla to be specific, to upload this site page that we just barely created. Okay. Upload. And so now we're going to open a new tab, and you're going to see this with me. We're going to type in theclosingtag.com. Y'all ready? There it is, guys. If you go onto theclosingtag.com right now, you will see this page. How freaking cool is that? So round of applause, round of applause. Anyway. So now that we've pretty much got that done and taken care of, we're going to go right back to where we were before. So let's close this. We're going to go ahead and do our npm run hoot, because remember, we renamed it from run watch or run dev to run hoot. Because owls hoot. Anyway, My computer's slow as molasses, so I'm going to take a quick little 2-minute breather. Maybe not even that. Also, if you are watching this live on Twitch right now, this coming Friday, July 16th, new interview episode of the Closing Tag will drop. My guest this week is Ben Phipps. He's got some very insightful things to say about development and AI, and yes, we do talk about the Jazz, and we do talk about sports. But it's all good, it's all in good nature, mostly. So you definitely don't want to miss that. It's going to drop this Friday on all the major platforms: Pandora, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts. Pretty much wherever you get your podcasts, as well as Facebook and YouTube. And like I said, my computer right now is running slower than molasses. I do apologize for that. But here we go. Here is the sorry. Here is the current home page for the Closing Tag. We're going to fix a little bit of that. So let's go ahead and get the, hold on, I almost forgot to switch this back over to VS Code. Switch over to home page. Now, if you recall, the home page was going to showcase, oh, sorry. I've got a frog in my throat right now. It's making doing this stream a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. So if you recall, the home page was going to have a schedule, upcoming interview or podcast episodes that are dropping, as well as links to all the stuff: podcasts, Facebook, YouTube, Discord. So let's take a look at something in our package.json file. You see we have both Bootstrap at 4.6 and React Bootstrap at 1.6.1. And the reason that is going to be key is because we're going to build out something called a Jumbotron. Now the Jumbotron, as I look it up here on React Bootstrap's website, is going to take up the majority of the home page. So we're going to go ahead and leave those divs right there, and we're going to take out this I am a home page. We're going to go ahead and add a Jumbotron. Now this is another cool little thing right here. When I click this, not only does it help me create the Jumbotron, but it also automatically imports the Jumbotron from React Bootstrap into my React file. So we're going to go ahead and do, actually we're going to do this, we're going to do a fluid Jumbotron. Basically it's going to take up all the horizontal space. It's not going to give us any room on the sides. We're going to do an H1 class name of display one. Welcome to the closing tag. I'm going to give that a save. And again, slower than molasses. I apologize. Now, unfortunately, this is not a fluid Jumbotron. And why is that? Well, let's take a look at the code. Let's take a look at this app.js, and you'll see that the container is not fluid. So let's make it fluid, shall we? Save it. And let's take another look. Beautiful. Actually, I forgot to do that. Sorry. Now you see where the container was supposed to be fluid but wasn't. But here you go. You already saw this. Awesome. So, switch it back over to VS Code. Let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and close this because now we're done there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to import what's known as a carousel. Okay, so once again, carousel, and if we click on it here, we're going to auto import from React Bootstrap. Right there, beautiful. And we're going to give it a fade. Now the reason why we're giving a fade effect is because, I don't know about you, but whenever I see it scrolling past, it kind of gives me a little bit of, I don't want to say vertigo, but it gives me a little bit of like anxiety. So we're just going to go ahead and give it a fade. Give it that subtle feel to it. And for each one, we're going to do a carousel item. July 16th, Ben Phipps from Galactic Blue joins the closing tag. Carousel item. Another H1, and don't worry, this is not the final product. I promise you that. So H1, new episode 11 discusses Portland PR nightmare. And then H1 revisit James Scott Across the Pond Sports Podcast episode now. So it should now give it a little bit of a subtle fade effect. So let's check it out. So it's definitely doing a fade effect. But if you notice something a little off, there's a thing right in the middle of the wording. We don't want that. So, how do we get rid of that? Well, let's find out together, shall we? So let's check out the React Bootstrap documentation. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm kind of reorganizing stuff as I go here. So, if we go to the React Bootstrap documentation, you'll see that we have all these different examples of what a carousel is, but if you notice, all these examples have controls, or what they're called controls. But if you go all the way to the bottom of the documentation, it'll not only tell you how to import carousel from React Bootstrap, but it also tells you how to disable the controls without actually telling you how to disable the controls. So, I'm going to go ahead and go back to this. And inside the carousel tag, we're going to give it controls equals false. So that should get rid of the controls. Let's give it a save and find out for ourselves. It didn't. Okay. Let's do a little bit more research then, shall we? So now that I'm reading the documentation, I'm going to switch over to that now. I'm reading the documentation a little bit more, and I don't think the controls are what we wanted to disable. I think we wanted to go ahead and disable the indicators. And the reason I say that is because this is the thing that shows the set of slide position indicators. Those things that we see right about here are indicators. So let's go ahead and disable the indicators as well. I still want to disable the controls, but I also want to disable the indicators. So let's give that a save. And there you go. And again, I forgot to switch it to VS Code. But as you can see, I added the indicators equals false right there in the carousel tag. And as I'm looking at this now, I'm seeing that this is probably a little too small for you to read. So we're going to increase the font size a little bit. There we go. So now we're going to go ahead and we'll do like 2 or 3 more things, and then we'll probably call it for tonight. So let's see here. So we've got the carousel, and I'll probably fill in like the pictures and whatnot at some point in the next couple weeks. Sorry. So going back to the thing, so after we're done with the carousel, we're going to want a kind of a thing underneath, like calls to action. Basically, we want calls to action. Click on this link to visit our Facebook page. Click on this link to visit our YouTube page. Click on this link for our Discord, so on and so forth. So let's add that right underneath the Jumbotron, obviously. Row, and again, gotta love the fact that it auto adds it to our import. Column, MD equals, we'll do 3. And again, auto adds the import. I love it. So we'll make 4 of these, 1 for each call to action. So we'll do an H, let's go 4. Visit our Facebook page. And again, we're gonna autofill in the stuff probably at a later time. Visit our YouTube page. And this way, I can stop telling people that the links are in the description, because I'm pretty sure those of you that regularly listen to my podcast kind of grow tired of me talking about links being in the description of the pod. Come join our Discord group and scope out the pod on your favorite provider. So let's give that a save. So let's go ahead and check it out. This is problematic. Take a look at this right here. It's too far close to the edge. Wouldn't you agree? So let's make this a little bit more interesting. Switch it back over to VS Code. So we're going to add what's called a line break. What the line break does is it returns the text to the next line without having to end the, what's it called? Without having to end this thing right here, the header tag or whatnot. And this is done for several reasons, but the reason that we're doing it this way is to give it a little bit more of a buffer. So as you can see right there, it worked to perfection. So now the last thing we're going to want to do before we call it for tonight is we're going to want to make sure that all of these are anchor tags. So basically clickable links. So we do ahref, and they don't have to be like active links right here and now, but at some point as we're building this site out, it's going to need to be an active link at some point. Now that's yelling at me for not closing my tags, not including my closing tags. All right, give it a save. And it's going to yell at me for basically saying that the href attribute has to have a value to be accessible, da 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 da. Yes, I know, thank you. Yeah. But again, we forgot to style the anchor tag, and so it's giving us this default value, this default blue underline. But that is something we will deal with next time. So I just wanted to thank everybody for putting up with my technical difficulties and for coming on and supporting the podcast, supporting the stream, and schedule change. I don't know if you guys saw me on the other Twitch channel yesterday, but there's been another schedule change. Shocking, I know. So we will not be doing a Tuesday stream as of right now, but that could change within the next few weeks. So again, plans change. Stay tuned. Anyway, so follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, both search for the closing tag. You can also download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. The links for everything will be in the description of that podcast. And yeah, we will be back here next week, next Monday, for what I hope will be a little bit more productive session. This one wasn't as productive as I had hoped, but we did get a major milestone knocked out of the park. So, you know, that could just be me being overly critical of myself as usual. But anyway, we'll be back next Monday, hopefully with less technical issues than it was today. As they say, same blue time, same blue channel. Good night, everybody.
On that, our presentation.